Now, it brings it to the fourth one, which I think is very interesting. It's the record of Christians. Now, I've heard this one. A couple of years ago, I was walking out of a Bronco game, and there was actually two men intensely debating this as they walked along the path to the parking lot. And I was quite intrigued just eavesdropping on their conversation. It didn't bother me at all, by the way. And it was perhaps the most intelligent articulation of this that I've ever heard. And he says it this way: every religion will have its hypocrites, of course, but it seems that the most fervent Christians are the most condemning, exclusive, and intolerant. The church has a history of supporting injustices, destroying culture, or oppression. And there are so many people who are not Christians or not religious at all who appear to be much more kind, caring, and indeed moral than so many Christians. If Christianity is the true religion, then why can this be? Why would so much oppression have been carried out over the centuries in the name of Christ and with the support of the church? Good question. Good question. Now, Keller's response is completely different than I think what I typically would have responded. If one of those men had turned around and asked me what I thought, I think I probably would have mishandled it. But Keller's response, I think, is worthy of our consideration. His brief response is this: the solution to injustices is not less, but deeper Christianity. In other words, you're speaking against Christianity because what you think you're looking at is deep Christianity, and it's not. Now, this one, he has three kind of different angles to his response. The first one, he admits that there have been a lot of injustices committed in the name of religion, and particularly the Christian religion. Now, the second one, he says, in the prophets and the Gospels, we are given tools for a devastating critique of moralistic religion. Scholars have shown that Marx and Nietzsche's critiques of religion relied on the ideas of the prophets. So, despite its abuses, Christianity provides perhaps greater tools than the other religions for its own critique. What he's saying there is that no one has written a more intense and more devastating critique of moralistic Christianity than Christianity. No one. Now, his last point, he uses just the career, if you want to call it, or the life of Martin Luther King Jr. And he says this. He said, when Martin Luther King Jr. confronted terrible abuses by the white church, he did not call them to loosen their Christian commitments. He used the Bible's provision for church self-critique and called them to truer, firmer, and deeper Christianity. You see, his point in that is that we tend to look around us, and I think many of us could say that when a person seems to get really serious about his faith, he can almost become fanatical, and who knows, he might turn out to be one of those really weird Christians that stands around at the funerals of service men and women, and with plaques that says God hates fags. And understanding or perceiving it that way has caused some people to say, well, okay, if you embrace Christianity, you're going to be okay unless you get too serious about it. You see, the problem is those people aren't too serious. They're not serious enough. The person who's nominal and claims to be a Christian and actually lives a life that's worse than other Christians, that person isn't being safe. That person is just a hypocrite. And he's making one of the most amazing, I think, and devastating claims against one of, I think, the prevailing speed bumps that you're going to run into if you ever have the courage to share your faith. And so this record of Christians is one that I think is very, very significant.